Hey everybody, it's Amber. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've joined me before. Today I just have some footage of myself playing around with some embossing powder. I have only fairly recently started really using it, but I'm already obsessed. I particularly love mixed media powders with a bunch of like mixed up, chunky, weird and goodness in them. And that means I do a lot of experimenting because some of those things don't stick as well to a thin layer of sticky stuff. Which is why actually you can see in the upper left-hand corner there, my Wow Ultimate Embossing ink. Wow just released this. I bought it directly from them, but it is like super mega juicy. It does work better for the chunkier powders, although to be honest, there's still nothing quite as good as like matte medium or some of the gloopier things or even the embossing dabber, whatever it is. Anyway, during the course of my playing around recently, I figured a few things out. The first is what I'm showing you here. These are these Zig two-way glue pens. I have had these forever. I frankly forgot exactly how they worked and why they are called two-way. But they're essentially, if you use them when the glue is blue, which you can see was really blue with that first pen I used, but not with some of the chunkier ones. So I always, I think, felt a little unsure. If you use them right away, when the glue is still blue, essentially, they're supposed to work like a normal glue stick or normal glue. But if you let them dry and turn clear, then they become I don't remember the term, sticky but not permanent glue. And I sort of forgot that property. I think I initially was hoping that these were going to help me with all of my fine tip gluing needs. I've since just gotten um, art glitter glue and other types of fine tip nozzles to fix that. But I've been trying to use these up, and I've been playing around recently with some glue resist. And so I thought, oh, this would be a great way to use up glues that I don't particularly like, because I do have a few that just are not for me. And these are one of them. And so I have these book pages I was doing glue resist on. I was going to go back later and hit them with watercolor and inks and other stuff. And anywhere that I had put the glue would resist it. But since I had forgotten the whole two-way situation with these pens, what I found was that when the glue dried, I did kind of do a resist still, but it stayed tacky, which was not the goal. The goal was not to end up with forever tacky glue spots. So, and you can see I'm actually using, I think, Aleene's tacky glue right there. But it will dry hard, not tacky. Anyway, when I realized that this glue I had used was going to stay a little tacky, I had to come up with a solution. And so I thought, well, since it's sticky, it'll hold embossing powder. And then I ended up liking that. It was kind of cool to be able to go over with a variety of glues, some of which will dry hard and clear, and some of which will dry tacky. And then once it's all dry, go over those areas with embossing powder. And in some cases, maybe even a little extra embossing ink. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. If you happen to have those two-way pens, give it a try if you want, or if you're like me and you weren't quite sure what to do with them, and they didn't really do what you wanted. So here's the next thing. You see, the whole time I've been embossing and pouring embossing powder over a coffee filter. And that is something I saw somebody else on YouTube do, and I'm really sorry, I have no idea who it was. I was watching just like a flurry of videos, and it kind of stuck with me. Oh, my cat just jumped up and clawed me, so that's fun. Um, cool. Anyway, when I gave it a try, I like it. I still like using the deli paper too because it is a larger profile and I make quite a mess. So a lot of times you'll see me do this, the embossing powder over the filter, which is over a deli paper for the extra spillage. Um, anyway, when you use it like this, you get sticky stuff on the coffee filter. Here, that was not trying to like show you, ooh, and going probably a little too fast. Anyway, and then when you pour embossing powder on it, and if you're like me and you do a lot of heating over top of it, you end up embossing your coffee filter in interesting and unexpected ways. And so that's what that one I showed you a moment ago, being real fancy and weird like. Um, and what I'm doing here is you'll notice that I had used an embossing dauber on something I wanted to emboss, and I, used embossing powder on this paper here. And every time I go over it, I also hit that coffee filter with my heat gun, and then I end up with interesting and unexpected embossed areas on the coffee filter. And I don't know if you know this, but coffee filters are fun to collage with. So if you're like me and you like to use collage papers, especially ones that go somewhat transparent or translucent, um, weird embossed coffee filters are pretty cool. And so, oh, and here we are, the final. These are the ones I made at the beginning of the video with all of my different glues. And then I went over them with color. Um, and now I'm going back over, now that the inks and paints are dry, I'm going over them with the embossing powder. And you can see, depending on how much of that two-way tacky glue I used, um, there are some areas that are picking up the embossing powder with the sticky residue. So a lot of fun. Yep, here we are. Just embossing powder's so messy. Is honestly the only thing I don't love about it, and it's just not a big enough deterrent. But yeah, it's really cool because some of the glue I use dried hard and clear, and so not all of it picks up embossing powder when I go over it, but the stuff that was two-way glue does, and then I can go back through and hit them all with the heat gun and get some really interesting effects. And I thought that was really cool. So I think here are the three things I will leave you with. The first is, try a coffee filter as one of your embossing powder catcher ideas. Also the deli paper. It's just nice because it already has that lovely crease in it. And so I think that's the first thing I think I'd ever seen someone use other than regular paper, and I liked that. And I reused the same piece of deli paper for a long period of time too. But I do like the coffee filter, and I like sort of accidentally on purpose, creating um, interesting collage fodder as a result of getting sticky stuff and embossing powder on the coffee filter. So big tip there. Number two, if you have some of those Zig two-way glue pens or something else that does the same thing, where it, stays sticky and doesn't dry completely hard and stuck. I don't know. Or if you want to try it, if you like doing things like glue resist, it's certainly worth a go. It made me happy. Um, it wasn't on my bingo card when I started using this stuff up. Oh, that's my desk vacuum. It was actually my husband's vacuum. I don't remember why he felt the need for it. He has a thing for vacuums. He doesn't use them often, but he likes them. And when he uses them, they make him happy, especially when they're nice. Anyway, we bought him that desk vacuum. He doesn't use it. I stole it. I use it to clean up art messes. So it all worked out. All right, so tip one, two-way glue works as a, sticky medium for embossing powder. That's really what it comes down to. Two-way glue like that works as a sticky medium for embossing powder. Number two, if you have coffee filters laying around and you want to use them to catch your embossing powder, it's useful. If in the process of embossing and using the filter for embossing little tiny bits like I was doing at one point in this video, you're probably going to get some embossing ink and sticky glue stuff on your filter. And also, even if you don't, the filter's kind of textured, right? Sort of just grabs a certain amount of that embossing powder anyway. And again, then you can heat it and it melts, and then it just is cool for later as collage fodder. When you've just got bits of varying colors of embossing powder embossed all over it. And three, that Wow Ultimate ink pad, I'm telling you, it is good stuff. So if you feel ever at times like their original pad was sometimes just not juicy enough that you had to like, press several times or something like that, or, that the embossing powder just wasn't stinking as much as you wanted. Like, seriously, go to their YouTube channel, check out the videos of the people demonstrating it. They do a much better job explaining why it's cool and demonstrating it. But yeah, I ordered it immediately once I saw it. And like I said, I haven't even seen it in other retailers yet, other retailers that sell Wow products. But I bought it direct off their site. They shipped it quick, and at least to me here in the US. And I am very happy to have it now in my um, arsenal of varying embossing inks and sundries. Oh, and yeah, in case you noticed and are curious, I have two heat guns. The one I'm using right now is a cheapo I found that I got off Amazon, and I think someone linked it specifically for drying watercolors, so that you could work on a piece and dry between layers. And then naturally, I started using it for other things like embossing powder. Once I started getting interested in using embossing powder. But that thing has one speed, and it is fast. And it has a tendency to blow away powder, especially the chunkier mixed media type powders that I sometimes have trouble sticking to ink. And so one of the things that I decided to do was also get the Ranger heat tool. It has a very slow speed. It doesn't get quite as hot and it doesn't move quite as fast. So it takes a little bit longer to heat up your embossing powder, but it is great for those chunkier ones because it just doesn't send things flying. Now, admittedly, I used it for part of this and then realized I'm not using super chunky powder, so I don't really need to worry about um, whether or not I use the hotter, faster gun. So I switched and made things a little bit easier. And then I was just cleaning up my space because, again, embossing powder gets on everything. Um, it's doing a decent job of not moving around that paper. So I'm like just gently tapping it and holding it in place when needed. But for the most part, I don't have to get my fingers in the way of all of the heat in order to emboss this, which is nice. I do have a sticky mat I need to try using with stuff when I'm embossing so it doesn't blow away. And I don't have to constantly hold tweezers to keep it away. But it's working okay right now, and that's what matters. So yeah, let me know if you've ever tried or discovered any of these things yourself, or if you have any quirky or weird embossing powder tips that you've kind of stumbled on like these. Is there something else you like to use to catch your powder? Or if you use those chunky mixed media powders, are there techniques or um, sticky substances you like to use? I do find I really like fluid matte medium too, as one of the powder catchers and paint. But I'd use all kinds of things in all kinds of ways, all kinds of times. So yeah, let me know what you think. And if you have any cool tips or ways to play with powder that you would like to share with us. And thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this, please take a moment to like and subscribe. And if you hit the little bell and select the top option, always, maybe, every, then you'll get notified when I make new videos. Thanks again. Bye.